Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we're going to begin the funeral service of Gil Elenbogen. Rabbi Stephen Stark Lowenstein and Cantor Julie Staple from Am Shalom will be officiating. We are honored and humbled to have representatives from the United States Air Force to give Gil military honors and to present a flag to his daughters. So at this time, I ask you for your attention to be sure your cell phones have been turned off. Those of you who are joining us online, everyone welcomes you, and now is time for the military honors. We thank the United States Air Force, and now Rabbi Stephen Stark Lowenstein and Cantor Julie Staple will be officiating.
Gil truly was a member of the greatest generation. I've never seen a more peaceful death than Gil's the other day. The same way that he lived, with unbelievable dignity, no fanfare, no fuss, as peaceful as possible. Death is simply when the soul and body separate. Gil's body was thoroughly used up. He got as much out of a body that anyone could get out of a body for as long as possible. Marathons and bike rides and walks around Glencoe. His body was thoroughly used up. But now his soul, the essence of who he is, was, and will always be, lives on. It lives on in an amazing family and in an incredible group of friends. It lives on in all of our hearts. And so in the Jewish tradition we say, Biyado afid ruchi, into God's hands we entrust his spirit. And we shall never, ever be afraid. We perform the ritual of kriya, the tearing of a ribbon, of direct mourners. In the Jewish tradition, direct mourners are children, spouses, siblings, and parents. So it's to the two of you that we look as the only direct mourners here. Know that you represent so many others. You represent the generations of his family that he outlived. But we make a small little tear in your ribbon to serve as a reminder of our hearts that are torn. Even the best seamstress in the world wouldn't be able to repair this ribbon without leaving a mark. And so we know that your hearts will always have a mark of a great father and friend, a mark of someone who truly made this world better. So I ask the two of you to please rise. Beryl and Dina, you wear this career ribbon to serve as a reminder of your hearts that are torn. But you don't need that reminder because you're going to feel that reminder every day. By the way you love, by the way you live, by the way you laugh. You feel that. For our hearts that are torn before the second kriya, I ask the two of you to say together, Baruch, Atah, Adonai, Eloheinu, Melech, Haolam, Dayan, Amen. We praise you, Adonai, our God, rule of the universe, the judge of truth, for at this moment we accept God's judgment.
Be'ado av kiruchi be'eti shan ve'ayira ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li ve'lo ira ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li ve'lo ira. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. end.
Death has taken our beloved Gil Elenbogen. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, be with them. For Gil's love that united us in life which death cannot sever. For his companionship that we shared along life's path, which now continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of his heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness and is now a precious, precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks to God. We extend our deepest condolences to Gil's remarkable family, to Beryl and Mark, thank you. To Dina and Steve, thank you. To Sarina and Ilan, thank you. To amazing caregivers, each step along the way, we thank you. To the Am Shalom Torah study group that's here, a minion of Torah study, we thank you. For the amazing clergy from Beth Emmet in Evanston, thank you for being part of this community. The Honorable Rachel O'Patton from Detroit, thank you for being with us. To clergy and friends, to family, to an amazing community. A community touched by Gil's unbelievable spirit. Rabbi Kudin, you said as we were walking in that he was so special. His spirit was different from everyone else. I know that we all feel that way. And so in the difficulty of this moment, any lawyers in the rooms, draw up the contract. Give me 100 years and 4 days shy of my 101st birthday. I'll sign it right now. But more than that, it's not just about quantity of years. Gil's quality. The dash between 1924 and 2025 is remarkable. But Gil lived that dash in an amazing, humble way. A man filled with humility, a man filled with integrity, a man filled with humor and love. We find comfort from the words of our tradition. Psalm 121. Asa'inai el ha'arim me'ayin yavo ezri. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard your soul, your going and coming, now and forever. No matter what faith tradition we may be from, of the 150 Psalms, there's one Psalm that speaks to all of us. There's one Psalm used by many different faith traditions, the 23rd Psalm, reminding us that we're not alone, reminding us that God is always with us. I love the fact that as we study around the table and we take apart each word of a verse of Torah, that if you look at the Psalms, you see that the psalmist very easily could have written, "Yea, though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death," or "I remain in the valley of the shadow of death," or "I feel like I'm always in the valley of the shadow of death." All of those would be appropriate. But the psalmist chose very carefully, "Gam ki elech b'geit salmavet," as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. When we walk through something, as Gil knows all too well, that to go through something, there's a before, there's the period going through it right now, and then there's a new period that comes after. I can't even imagine in the more than 100 years that he lived how many things that Gil went through. But he went through them in his own unique and wonderful way. He went through them, as we all do, And we come out different on the other side, but we come out. We come out with different perceptions and different understandings. And so we walk through the valley with all of you. We walk through with those of you in this front row, the metaphorical front row here in this funeral chapel. But we walk through this with you together, helping you. First, we offer the 23rd Psalm in English. Please join with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord. Having recited it together as a community, I invite you to think about Gil. I invite you to think about his family, how you can help them walk through this path as we listen to the beautiful words of the 23rd Psalm in Hebrew.
משמאל דוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בנודשי הרביצני, על מי מנוחות ינחלני. נפשי שובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגצל מוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. דשנת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי. ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
We often have a debate around the Torah study table about poetry. Some people like poetry, some people don't like poetry. Gil was in the not so fond of poetry category. But I came across a reading that I recently found, but I know that he would have loved it. It's called The Facts of Life, because in many ways, Gil was a very practical, facts of life kind of guy. The Facts of Life by Padraig Ó Tuama. The facts of life, that you were born and that you will die, and that you will sometimes love enough and sometimes not, that you will lie, if only to yourself, that you will get tired, that you will learn most from the situations that you did not choose, that there will be some things that move you more than you can ever say, that you will live, that you must be loved, that you will avoid questions most urgently in need of your attention, that life isn't fair, that life is sometimes good and sometimes better than good, that life is sometimes not so good, that life is real. And if you can survive it well, survive it well, with love, with art, and meaning given when meaning's scarce. That you will learn to live with regret, that you will learn to live with respect, that the structures that constrict you may not be permanently constraining, that you will probably be okay, that you must accept change before you die, but you will die anyways. So you might as well live. You might as well love. You might as well live. You might as well love. For almost 101 years, Gil did just that. He lived and loved. But he loved nothing more than his family. And so we turn to you to begin to pay tribute to the amazing Gil Elenbogen. So Dina, I begin with you. I invite you to come forward to honor your dad.
Thank you. I had no idea that my father didn't like poetry. But yeah, sorry. Learned something new, so. I've been writing to and about my father my entire life, but on the occasion of his death, I feel at a loss for words. During the last several months, my dad has not been himself. It gives me comfort to think of him at the many different stages of his life. If he were here, he'd say something like, "Oh, to be a kid of 98 again." My father's body at 98. Your hands once built things with your father's hammer. I know this because Saul's name is engraved in the metal. A deck, tortoise house, sandbox, shed with a ladder I'd climb to be closer to trees. Your hands wrapped bandages, staked tomatoes, cultivated roses, mixed chemicals to find cures for disease and clean, polluted rivers. Your hands fixed bomber planes during the Second World War. Your hands cooked meals for your father when your mother was ill. These days, your hands gesture wildly, make soup with beans, replace batteries in your hearing aids. The thunderous sound of the plane engines you worked on during the war destroyed your eardrums. Yet your ears were always available when someone asked if you had a moment to listen. You always had a moment to listen. You dropped whatever you were doing to listen to friends, colleagues, family. You never wanted to block a doorway or someone else's path. You said it was okay if I wanted to be a poet, as long as I was also a teacher or something that put bread on the table. You believed in fighting for other people's freedom. At 18, you flew over Germany to drop bombs on train tracks. Your dog tag said H for Hebrew, and you kept them around your neck even when the air was full of flak that could have landed you on German soil and captured as a spy. Your brain once devoured Russian novels, then Bellow, Singer, Oz. These days you read contemporary American novels, even if you don't always appreciate them. Your brain takes in chemical compounds and the importance of supporting what you believe. Your legs ran you to work before it was fashionable, ran the Mayor Daily Marathon right after a bout of pneumonia, helped you bike your age in miles until you turned 90 and changed to kilometers. Your legs have grown weak in the knees. Your heart carried the suffering of your immigrant parents, the love of your family of 6 that crowded into Chicago apartments. Your heart carries your mother's challah baked from scratch and her matzah balls and chicken soup. It carries your brothers and sisters, cousins, nieces and nephews, and friends of decades, Irene and your children and grandchildren. Your heart has broken over the loss of your wife, of friends, your brothers, one way too young, sister, a niece and nephew, Gail and Bruce. Today you wrestle with the loss of the freedom to bike and run. You wrestle against these narrow doorways. Your heart carries your grandchildren with whom you've had wonderful adventures when they were small. You've had the privilege of watching them grow into young adults. Your heart now allows us to help carry you. We love you. And then this was written about a week ago, pre-elegy for a World War II vet at almost 101. Because you can't return to us as you were, we join you where you are. Where you are, the dead are expected for dinner, a chair waiting, a place set for generations who for a long time haven't eaten at your table, oranges on a china platter taken away. Taken away from tables and chairs are those who no longer taste our tomato soup, our purple grapes. Join us, O long dead. Sometimes even the living disappear. You speak with angels all night in dreams. All night in dreams you whisper with them, the way you no longer speak on waking. Speak to us on waking, the way you no longer do. On waking you carry them with you, but forget their names. You leave out a saucer for their tea. You wait to greet them while you sleep. They wait for you. They wait for you. They wait for you and come to assure you they still wait. There is so much to tell them. I don't know what you tell angels and ancestors when you whisper to them at night. The freedom you once fought for is crumbling before your tired blue eyes. How blue they are. Before your eyes, the world turns back to a dark time. Your eyes glaze over the evening news. You know and don't know. You know and don't know I am your daughter. I've loved you all my life and never learned from you words of love. Is it too late to tell you? Is it too late? Will I wait until I no longer know if you can hear me or not? Or maybe you haven't heard me for a long time. For a long time, my words fly past you and my life swirls by, and all you know is I am here. I'm here before you and sit at the window where the lake is our shifting landscape. Sometimes the water is blue like your eyes that can and cannot see me. I wait for you. I wait for you to wake up and see me. I wait for you to sleep with angels.
Amazing.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. Rest assured, I have no talent whatsoever to write this as a poem or poetry. So someone who loves numbers and charts, I always like to describe Gil in 3 words: off the charts. He was really off the charts in a lot of ways. When he turned 100, I was particularly excited because some of my work has involved research on people living to 100 and later. And at a gathering for his 100th birthday, I noted a bunch of statistics about the chances of a man living to 100. So this included how many men over 100 there were in the US, how many there were in the world, and how many I thought that there might be in Wilmette. I did an estimate of that. So without going into the numbers, because I don't want to bore people, but I can just say that the chances of a man living to 100 are really, really low. And then making it close to 100 are really, really, really low. And so for the record books, Gil turned 101 last Sunday in Hebrew years. And for me, that's the statistic that really counts. And it was amazing when I looked it up. So I first met Gil and Irene when Dina invited me to their house for Passover when we were dating. Dina and I arrived early. And as anybody who's prepared a Seder knows, there's a period of frantic activity an hour before it starts. I'm sure that's a common feeling. We walked in and Gil and Irene were in the middle of chopping, blending, and assembling. But they did drop everything and they greeted me very warmly, making me feel very, very welcome. And so I immediately felt at home and I jumped into the frantic preparation, helping out in a couple of ways. And so, they put me to work and I was very flattered that they felt that they could do that. So then this was the beginning of my close to 35 years now of Seders with Dina's family. Gil and Irene had hosted Passover for many years before that, and when Irene passed away, Gil insisted on continuing the tradition, amazingly and really amazingly, doing most of the work himself, cleaning his house, cleaning his apartment, preparing the food, and hosting. And so he was able to do this up until just a few years ago. And I really think many would have just found this overwhelming, very challenging, to say the least, and would have just given up the tradition. But that was Gil, and when he did something, he fully committed to it. So after our first meeting, my connection with Gil and Irene grew quickly and closely, and Gil and I shared an interest in biking, and we often biked together. And so one early, very memorable time for me was when we took a bike repair class together, and for me, it began a certain theme I noticed over and over. Everyone in the repair class was about 30 years younger than Gil, and they got a kick out of a man in his 70s who would want to take a repair class. And so there were a lot of smiles, and the teacher said he set a record for oldest student by far. He got a lot of attention. Let's just put it that way. So I could see the same thing when Gil first decided to do one of his 100-mile bike rides. We rode it together, and again, there were a lot of smiles, lighthearted jokes, comments from the organizers. When we checked in at the registration table, he was the oldest rider of the day, and they loved it. And throughout the day, we got a lot of attention from the other riders. And so when I think about my own family, from the start, my father looked up to Gil really like an older brother, with Gil being 8 years older than my father. They grew up with very similar backgrounds on the west side of Chicago, and both graduated from Roosevelt University. My father often remarked to people just how amazing Gil was and how helpful in many ways for all of us. And I know my father was very, very grateful for the family I married into and for everything they did for me, and of course, welcoming to all of my own family. So I'm also very grateful that Gil was a constant presence in Sarina and Ilan's lives from the beginning, with his babysitting, cooking, advising, and just being really an extremely important part of their lives, as you'll hear in a little bit. So we're very fortunate they had Gil in their lives this long. We couldn't anticipate it, and it's something I just really can't express in words. He was a thoughtful mentor and was always happy to give me advice when I was in a quandary, and it invariably helped me see my way through to a better path. In particular, I'll be ever thankful for his expert handyman skills that he learned as a young boy back on the West Side from his father in the 30s. He really taught me a lot, and was always willing to rush over with his very extensive collection of tools, a lot of tools I think I've never seen again. So you don't really realize how invaluable that is until you live in a house that was built in the late 1800s, so in typical Evanston. So I just want to say thank you, Gil, for everything you did for me. I will really greatly miss you, as of course we all will. You were really, truly off the charts, and you left an indelible mark that will never be forgotten by all of us.
Sarina?
My whole life, I have looked up to my Saba as a model of what it means to live a healthy life. He always took such good care of himself, eating well and staying active. We used to go for bike rides together, and he dazzled everyone with his ability to ride his bike into his 90s. When I was in elementary school, I wanted to be just like my Saba and try to do the highest number of pull-ups in my gym class, which he prided himself in. People loved to see him working out at the gym in his old age. But beyond taking care of his physical body so well, the way that he showed care the most is the way he cared for others, the way he nurtured his family and friends, sustaining lifelong friendships and communities. Though he was not a man overflowing with words of affirmation, his love for me was always palpable. He was extremely committed to his beloved Torah study group at Am Shalom, which I got the opportunity to attend with him. At Torah study, I got to witness how celebrated he was, having had no idea that my understated-seeming Saba was so popular. As long as I knew him, he was dedicated to living out his values, such as with the Labor Zionist Alliance and his book clubs. To me, my Saba embodies the quality of gevura, of boundaried strength. He never assimilated his Jewish identity, even when his life was on the line fighting in World War II. He stood proud to be who he was and instilled that pride in me and my brother. He was a man of discipline and of routine, and he taught that to others. He taught me to recycle and turn the lights off after leaving a room to help the planet, and he reminded me to spend money on what really matters. He lived a modest, humble lifestyle, but he knew how to appreciate and show gratitude for the finer things in life, such as taking me to the opera and out for a nice dinner. He would always say, "Going out to dinner is meant to be a nice occasion. You should enjoy yourself." And he also shared many meals in his home. Every Friday night, especially in my early childhood after his wife Irene, my Savta, passed, he generously hosted us at his table for Shabbos dinner. I knew to look forward to roasted potatoes with paprika, chicken or salmon with a drizzle of mustard, and sweet potatoes. Every time I would come to his house, he would have chocolate ice cream bars ready for me. I feel that my Saba and I always understood each other on a deep level, both being the water signs of the family. We enjoyed having deep conversations, but we also enjoyed just being quiet together and giving each other permission to just be. The night before he passed, he visited me in my dream and told me that he was having a smooth transition and that everything would be okay. This brought me a lot of comfort, and I'm so grateful to have gotten to say goodbye to him in this way. When Saba and I would go to Torah study together, Jeff would always read a poem from Mishkan Tefillah, which Saba and I enjoyed. So I will end my eulogy with this poem, which I think really encapsulates his spirit. Holy One, give me a quiet heart and help me to hear the still, small voice that speaks within me. It calls me to come close to you and to grow in your likeness. It teaches me to do my work faithfully, even when no one's eye is upon me. It counsels me to judge others kindly and to love them freely, for it persuades me to see divinity in everyone I meet. Help me, O God, to come to the end of each day feeling that I used its gifts wisely and faced its trials bravely.
I never would have understood gratitude, dependability, or sustainability without Saba by my side my entire life. His appreciation for living a simple, modest lifestyle and his tireless dedication to the fundamental parts of his life, like his family and friends, health, and planet, leaves an everlasting enlightenment on the many people he'd come to know throughout his life. Looking back on even the earliest moments of my life, it's clear that he'd always been instilling these values into me, Sarina, and the rest of the gang. Going over to Saba's after school as a kid, running upstairs in search of some paper and pens to draw with, and finding pencils that looked like they were from a few millennia ago, yet in great condition, showed me the value of appreciating what you already have instead of always succumbing to the newest gadgetry with the latest bells and whistles. He always made sure I knew to save energy and resources when they weren't being used, turning off lights or fans when you're leaving a room, not using more water than you need when washing. On hot summer days, he's talked about him not having AC or heat growing up, which helped me stop taking for granted the luxuries and comforts in life that seemed so promised. Though I may not be making it sound like it right now, trips to Saba's were in fact by far some of the most fun moments of my childhood, not just life lessons and unplugging lamps. He got Sarina and me a go-kart that we'd whip around Sunset Lane in Glencoe. We'd walk to the Glencoe beach, climb secret passageways that we described as obstacle courses in the hilly, shrubby beach entrance, followed by burgers or ice cream from Vernon's on Vernon. We'd bike to the Botanic Gardens or around Glencoe, and one time we had so much fun biking that we biked all the way back to my home in Evanston rather than him driving me to drop me off. Your longevity and legacy is an inspiration to us all and will carry you in your memories as we ride into the future.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you. Cousin Scott.
Thank you. As Gil's sister, my mother would say we are all born a diamond in the rough. Gil was no exception. Gil had 101 years to be polished, but really achieved perfection early on in life. Gil has always taken responsibility for his family. He opened his home to his mother, my grandmother. He was a great brother to Mort, going over to his house, fixing and helping. They were so close. When my mother was starting her very first job, she had an eye for a very expensive winter coat. And anyone who knows my mother, it was very expensive. Gil, much younger, in fact 8 years younger, had saved literally hundreds of dollars at that time from his paper route and gave my mother the money to buy that coat. I'll never forget that story. Gil was a surrogate father to Gail Helfgott and extended his warmth to Alvin. He admits he was not the funny brother, but more a matter of fact. He was comfortable under his own skin and had no regrets. He had 2 wonderful daughters who he loved so much. Although it is so sad that Gil has passed away, his daughters and all of us are blessed to have had his presence up till the end. Gil was very lucky and appreciative to have had 2 wonderful grandchildren who adore him. Gil and I would have long conversations. He shared a story with me that every time he and his buddy got back from a mission in World War II, they would smoke a cigar. They hated those cigars, and they said that if they got shot down and died, then at least they would not have to smoke those damn cigars. And apparently there was a 50-50 chance every mission that they would be shot down. Gil, a polished gem, was a good and honest man. He was humble. He had a heart of gold. There was no selfish bone inside of him, and he was so thoughtful. He lived his life day by day, cherishing the fact that he was alive. He embraced his Judaism and Am Shalom, where he met many friends and had academic discussions in book club. We are so grateful to Am Shalom, its congregants, and especially Rabbi Steve, who opened their arms to Gil and added immensely to his happiness and possibly even to his longevity. Best of all, Gil was blessed with another 80 years or so where he did not have to smoke that damn cigar. All of us should reflect on the polished diamond he was and follow in his footsteps on how to lead exemplary lives. I am so grateful to have had Gil in my life. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
On the walls of Am Shalom are the words of the prophet Micah, asking a question: what is it that God really requires of all of us? Micah boiled it down to just three things. Only this, he said: do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. Gil Elenbogen walked humbly with God every step along the way. What a gift. He died the same way that he lived. He slowly stopped breathing and was gone. No fuss, no fanfare. Gil was filled with integrity, determination, longevity. He was committed to everything that he did. He was devoted. He was incredibly humorous. At least for us, downright funny around the table. He was humble. Here was a man who never liked to waste, always environmentally conscious. He never wasted any of his resources. He was active physically and intellectually till the very end of his life, until he couldn't be anymore. He was a devoted Jew who loved to attend Shabbat services, especially if Sarina, if you were singing. And he was a regular at our Shabbat morning Torah study table. He now joins a long list of angels who continue to climb up and down Jacob's ladder, as their names are written on the wall of the library. We will add his name to that amazing list. It was after his amazing wife died in 1998 and that he realized he didn't know how to say Kaddish. And he didn't know many of the prayers. He joined Am Shalom with Rabbi Kudan. He joined Am Shalom because it was his neighborhood synagogue. He quickly enrolled in Phyllis Steiner's adult B'nai Mitzvah class. He studied with an amazing group of women, along with Phyllis Steiner as their teacher. It was Ellen and Joanne and Lynn and Eva and Meg and Vicky and Priscilla. And those other students loved him. He became one of the girls. They loved him, they doted on him, and he truly became the center of the class. They came to the Bima in October of 1999 and took their rightful place as adults. He was a man of quiet solemnity. Sarina, those were your words, and so beautiful. He was a bit of a hero, as you said, at Am Shalom. He was popular, he was funny, a true inspiration. He was a good man, a good soul. Barbara said something to me about him. Everyone who's here, the Leaf said something to me. Everyone, Ellen and Jeff, Michael Bloom, Howard Tater, Babs, and especially Rabbi Kudan. Everyone was touched by his kindness, by his goodness, by his generous spirit. Truly amazing. Scott Weil, you said he was so special. He always was, he always will be. He always said when taking a picture, smile, he always retorted, "I smiled yesterday." He always had something funny to say about his nisim b'kol yom, his miracles for every day. "I'm still here," or "You can't kill a weed." Even when he could no longer attend in person, he attended on Zoom. And when he couldn't manage the Zoom, Steve, thank you. You showed up at his apartment and just helped him turn on the computer, and then you sat off to the side so that he could still participate. And there were many, many weeks that he just loved to still be part of the conversation, to still be part of that table. Born to Ida and Saul in 1924, along with his siblings Bernard and Ellen and Mort, along with Gil. Gil was the baby of this amazing family. He came into this world in 1924. Ida and Saul both came from shtetls in the old country. They kept kosher. She was an observant Jew who married a communist, yet saw the value of Judaism. They immigrated to America. He attended Thule High School. They lived in a small place, 4 kids, along with an aunt and a boarder that they took in. Yet all 4 children in the Elenbogen home were hardworking, had successful careers. They were all smart. I loved it when your dad would tell stories about growing up. I loved it when he would tell stories. He remembered Mort walking him to school. They were a team, he said. They remained a team their entire lives. When he was little, he told me that Mort made up games for them to play, but Mort always won. And then there's the famous story of all 3 brothers fighting in World War II. Gil enlisted when he was just 18 in the summer of 1942. And the brothers were reunited in Italy during the war. I cherish the book that Gil gave me that tells the story of the brothers coming together. Mort walked through the mud to find his brother. He heard that he was there. He got access to a list, and he found his brother. Gil was so excited when he saw his brother, he jumped up without unzipping his sleeping bag. He once told me as a chemist that he had figured out how to cure cancer. You heard me right. He said he had figured out a cure for cancer. But Cyril wouldn't follow up with him. Gil was always driven. He cared deeply. He worked hard. He never lost that depression mentality that he experienced as a kid. I love the fact that Gil and Irene met. They fell in love. They were quickly married at the Blackstone Hotel. In a Freilich wedding with Israeli dancing, October 31st, 1953. And they were devoted to each other for 45 amazing years, 45 wonderful years. They were blessed with two wonderful daughters. Your dad loved both of you so very much. He was involved and engaged in your lives. He was hands-on. He was smart. He helped with homework. He was always interested. He was always creative. He loved to garden. They came to Glencoe in 1989. He loved being a Saba. He loved being a grandfather. He wore the same clothes almost his entire life. But that didn't matter. He was comfortable with who he was. He was comfortable on the inside. The outside didn't matter. Long before others took up jogging, he was running marathons in his 70s. He was truly an inspiration to myself and to some of my friends. We rode part of the way on his 80th birthday when he rode 80 miles. He was so proud to do it. When it became too difficult, I remember one year he said, I did it, but it took me 2 days. He split it up, 42 and 42 to get to 84. He just couldn't do what he used to do, and that bothered him, but he found a way to do it. And it was amazing when he, at 90, said, I did it. I switched to kilometers. I rode 90 kilometers. To ride well into your 90s was truly remarkable. But that was Gil. I love the fact that he passed his driver's test in his late 90s. COVID was hard for him, yet he was still biking or walking around Glencoe or walking to shul. It was great to see him around town. It began a slow decline. Several nieces and nephews died. His brother died. That was all so hard for Gil. I officiated at his brother Mort's funeral. He said, he was always my best friend in life And Gil and Mort showed everyone how brothers should be. I looked back at my notes. That's what he said. We showed how brothers should be. They took care of each other. They were different but meshed together. Gil was always so proud of you, Sarina, and your entire family, your brother, your aunt, family, and friends. He was never materialistic. He never wasted. He was always a really good listener. And for 101 years, he taught us all how to stand up for what we believe, to invest in what really matters, to fight for integrity, to be devoted to family, to be a great role model, to be a wonderful father and grandfather, to be a learned Jew. Just want to clarify one thing. Your poetry was on a different level. What he didn't like was using poetry kind of instead of the prayers, because he believed in the root of the prayer. And that's how the discussion started. But it was your poetry that we've been reading for years, and it's truly, truly beautiful. At every service on Saturday morning, we always sing Oseh Shalom. And it seems only appropriate right now, Sarina, to invite you to come forward, to lead us all in Oseh Shalom. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens, let peace descend on all of us, but especially on Gil. He deserves it. Please rise.
Please join with me. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Sarina, it's an honor to have you as a colleague, but more than that, as a friend. And there's no better way to honor your grandfather than to ask for God to watch over his soul. The dust returns to the earth, but the spirit returns to God. As I've said at every funeral I've ever officiated at, the soul and the body separate. The dust returns to the earth. The spirit returns to God. Receive in mercy, O God, the soul of our departed. Grant him that everlasting peace which you have prepared for us in the world to come. Though no human eye has seen, nor ear has heard, nor mind has grasped it, still it is our sure inheritance, our everlasting portion. O God, help us understand that grief and love go hand in hand, that the pain which loss inflicts is the measure of a love stronger than death. Though we cry in the anguish of our hearts, may we be like children who know that their parent is near, and who cling unafraid to the trusted hand. In this spirit, O God, do we commit all that is precious to us to your keeping, as we now ask for God to watch over his soul.
El malei rachamim, shochein b'meramim. Hamtzeh menucha nechona, tachat kanfei השכינה. אם קדושים וטהורים כזרעי Bal harachamim yastirem b'seter knafav leolamim. Vitror bitror chaim et nishmato Adonai hu nachalatam. Ve'anuch b'shalom al mishkavo. V'nomar Amen.
Compassionate One, Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest under the wings of your presence to our loved one, to Gil, who has entered eternity. May he find refuge forever under God's precious wings. May his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. May his repose be peaceful. And let us all say, Amen. Please be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, the interment service will continue at Shalom Memorial Park, located at 1700 West Rand Road in Arlington Heights. The family will be returning to the Elenbogen-Siegel residence at 1134 Oak Avenue in Evanston. Please look at the service folder for the times and also memorial contributions to Am Shalom or to your favorite charity. For those of you who are joining us via live stream, that information is on the funeral home's website. For those of you who will be joining in the funeral procession to the cemetery, the procession will be forming in our parking lot. Please obtain an orange safety funeral sticker to place on the right-hand side of your windshield. Have your bright lights and hazard lights on at all times. For additional measures of safety, we will be providing a car in the back of the procession to hopefully keep other cars from entering the procession. Please use your horn liberally as you're going through the intersections. Please do not speak or text on your cellular phone while driving to a cemetery. At this time, I'd like to invite those of you who have been asked to serve as pallbearers to please come forward as everyone rises and we escort the casket of Gil Elenbogen from the chapel along with the clergy.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu soon. We will go. Peace for all of us.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'akulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'akulam. Salam aleinu ve'akol ha'olam. Salam shalom. Salam aleinu ve'akol ha'olam. Salam shalom. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam.